It ain't the black women killing the trans people. It ain't the black women beating the shit out of the gays. It's y'all straight black men. It ain't the black women getting themselves pregnant and being shitted on and being disregarded and being whooped on. They not doing it to themselves. It ain't the trans women beating on the women and getting them pregnant. It ain't the gay boys neglecting these women and getting them pregnant. It's y'all. It ain't the gay boys sitting in gangs, selling drugs, shooting each other up. It ain't the gay boys in Chicago shooting up 30 and 50 people a night. It ain't the girls. It ain't the black women sitting up in Chicago and all these other cities shooting up each other, keeping up turf wars and shit. Yeah, a few of them are in gangs, but overwhelmingly, it ain't them. It is y'all.
Hey guys, Fatima here, and I am doing a response to Funky Dineva's video entitled "Straight Black Men Are the Problem in the Black Community." And when I saw that headline, I said, let's talk about it. So let's jump right in. I felt that Funky Dineva's analysis at the very end was the most powerful. It was succinct. He just called it out. When you look at who marginalized people experience violence at the hands of, it is the black man. Now, whether that is an educated black man or uneducated black man, an employed black man versus an unemployed black man or underemployed black man, we are experiencing violence by their hand too. Think back to the video of the black woman being thrown in the dumpster. White people didn't do that. Other black women didn't do that. Trans women ain't do that. Trans men ain't do that. A group of black men did. Look at the video of the black man who hit the young black woman in the face with a skateboard. He did that. Y'all did that. And my critique with the proverbial not all black men, it's played, it's tired, it's delayed, because the small section of black men who shout, not all of us, we're the good guys, y'all are not loud enough. Why are I want to use my words carefully, but why are black men who are more prone to committing violence against other people, why are they the loudest? Why are the black men who degrade black women on social media and in real life, why are they the loudest? If you're so quick to run and say not all black men, why aren't you using your voice to silence the voices of the black men who are making y'all as a collective look bad? You know what I mean? So that's why I no longer subscribe to the idea of not all black men. We as a society are past the idea of not all cops, right? We're at the point where it's like we're burning all of this ish down. So that's where I think black women are coming now. We're getting to the point where it's like that not all black men, that's played. We're done with that, because again, like I said, the small sector who claim that they do love black women are not loud enough. We're not seeing any action. We're not seeing you in the comments saying, hey, watch how you speak to our women. Watch this, watch that. We're not seeing that group of black men who will quickly throw out the not all of us. We're not seeing y'all check each other and hold other black men accountable. We're not seeing it.
And I said to my two straight homeboys, and these are two guys that I love, I said, black men, there is a conversation that y'all need to have amongst each other. And that conversation is, A, why y'all don't have any respect for one another and are so willing to kill one another. B, why y'all don't have respect for black women and you see them as objects and disposable and less than. And C, why the presence of anything homosexual or trans just completely rattles you and gets your panties in a damn bunch. Those are three issues that black men need to sit down, straight black men need to sit down in a room with straight black men, and y'all need to figure that shit out.
At the protests, we had trans women at the protests, right? At these black male-centered protests, fighting for the lives of black men, cis hetero black men, and getting and getting beat up by the same cis hetero black men that we are trying to champion. Black men took a break from the protest to go and inflict violence on a trans woman. Can you imagine? So that's why when Billy Porter says we're going to pick our battles, I can understand that. Are you going to protest, put your body on the line? Because these police are showing you that it's by any means. They're driving over you, tear gassing you, and getting you with the rubber bullets. They're showing you that it's by any means necessary. At the anti-police brutality protests, they're escalating their brutality. We are not going to put our bodies on the line for men who would beat us up anyway. And I do understand the intricacies and the complexities within all of this, because like Funky Dineva said, it's not the gay boys who are beating up black women, but there are some cases of that, right? Like the black woman in Ohio at the hair salon who didn't want to give the hair stylist the full pay because she had been waiting 9, 10, 11 hours to get her hair done. And so the solution was then to beat her up because of that, dragging her. And that was a gay black man that did that. So there are complexities within it. That's why I just urge black women to invest in us. The only people that got us is us.
And let me do the proverbial. It's not every black man. It's good black men out. Yes, we know that. But I am talking about the collective. All right? Heterosexual black men have got to get down to the bottom of why they don't see any value in one another. Right? Why we're so willing to kill one another so freely. Then once we get down to that, we got to try to figure out the women thing. Then, we've got to figure out the gay thing. Why the presence of a gay man rattles y'all so much.
Here's a very brief story time. A friend of mine was telling me how he wants to do more traveling. He wants to go to just travel to more cities in the United States. And he said that a friend of his had suggested they go to Atlanta. And my friend's response was, oh, I ain't trying to go to gay city. And when he told me that, I was, I just rolled my eyes because he's always just saying some, I hate to say it, and I don't mean to be classist or elitist, but he's always saying some uneducated, unthought out BS. And in that moment, I was just like, why is the sexuality of a group of people in Atlanta the first thing you think about when you think about Atlanta? You know what I mean? And his idea was that he didn't want to go because he didn't want to be around gay people. And I'm like, man, when I think about Atlanta, I think about the reality TV show circuit first because I engage in that content, Real Housewives, Love and Hip Hop Atlanta at a point in time I no longer watch now. So are you engaging or do you have some sort of affinity to homosexuality for it to be the first thing that comes to your mind? You know what I mean? Like, I think of the Black Mecca, right? It's arguable now whether Atlanta is still the Black Mecca in light of Rayshard Brooks's death at the hands of police. But you don't want to see Black ownership. You don't want to see Black people living in big mansions and beautiful neighborhoods. You don't want to see Black restaurants. And you know what I mean? Like, you don't desire to see Black people living, just in an elevated energy. Like, you don't want to see that. The first thing that comes to your mind is what the gay people are doing. Like, come on. So Black men, y'all do need to figure that out. Like, why do you care? I don't care about other people's sexuality. I don't care about what other people choose to do with their bodies because it's not my business. So I completely agree with Funky Dineva. Y'all need to figure that ish out.
Because I got the luxury of being able to sit in the barbershop and the hair salon. So I'm privy to two different conversations. And here's the thing about the barbershop, right? In the barbershop, as a young black man, it truly is a microcosm of male masculinity and what I should be in every stage of my life. You come into the barbershop as a toddler, you see yourself as a young boy, you see yourself as a teenager, you see yourself as a man, and you see yourself as an elderly man, all in one sitting. Everything I am supposed to be from start to finish, I learn or can see or can pick up in a 2-hour sitting in the barbershop. How I'm supposed to sit, how I'm supposed to dress, how I'm supposed to treat my woman, what I'm supposed to think about gay people, what I'm supposed to think about that nigga from the other set. I learn all of these things in the barbershop. Here is what I've never heard in the barbershop. Hey man, y'all know we supposed to be loving one another, right? Yeah, you heard Junebug and Mike got into a fight last night, man. He shouldn't have shot that man. Somebody should have been over there to de-escalate that. That's not what we hear. What I heard is, hell yeah, my nigga, he should have shot that nigga. He shot a head. If I was there, I'd have beat that nigga ass too. Yeah, I heard that nigga was over there from 31st Street. He came over there with that bullshit. Those niggas came in there and shot his ass up. Ha 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 ha. I'd have did that shit too. Hell yeah. That's what I heard. In the barbershop, you also hear, yeah, man, my little lady mad with me. Why she mad, dog? Man, you know, I'm messing with that other chick, Lisa. Lisa called the house last night. My little lady answered the phone. Oh, damn, nigga, you gotta be more careful next time. Never once did I hear somebody say, well, why you got the girl calling your phone and you got a little lady? You wrong, my nigga. You wrong for cheating on your girl. Why you doing that? It's always reinforcing this cheating behavior on your woman.
Yes, there is no accountability when it comes to black men's actions. And I have been in situations where I just got to see that up close and personal, how there is no willingness to take an introspective look at what is going on internally. And it may be from youth, you know, having to, you know, be, quote unquote, be like a man or be strong like a man, or not really being able to develop being in touch with those emotions. Black men stay on code unlike any other group that I've ever seen. It's like they, in situations like Funky Dineva described, as far as a man saying, oh, you know, my little lady is mad because, you know, she done found out that I'm talking to this one and that one. Other black men will either stay silent or they will encourage and perpetuate the behavior. So where did black men lose accountability? Is it the vestiges and the remnants of slavery? Is it the white man? Like, there is no accountability whatsoever. Even when we have conversations like this, and commenters and commentators probably feel the need to preface with the not all men thing, because that's the first go-to. Instead of saying, you know what, yeah, I've been in barbershops too and I've heard that type of language. Or, yeah, you know what, I've participated in things like that. It's the, well, you know, not all of us, we don't all do that. Okay, well, good. A majority of y'all do. So now what? I just love that people's ideas and thinking are moving ahead. On Twitter that day, that the videos of black women being brutalized at the hands of black men were coming back to back to back. The flood of black women who were saying, okay, y'all, we got to nip this in the bud. Okay, y'all, we have to reassess. Okay, y'all, we got to figure out what's really going on. Okay, y'all, we have to withhold our energy and withhold our anger and withhold our desire to protect. We got to hold back. We got to come together and we got to reassess and re-strategize, because there is clearly something happening here within our own community. Even our fight, the plight of Breonna Taylor being turned in, you know, the death of Breonna Taylor being turned into a meme. Nobody was memeing George Floyd, so why are we memeing Breonna Taylor, our fight is always muted or ignored. So I just love to see people just opening their eyes and embracing new thoughts. And you have people like Chrissy and Crystalline and Paris Milan and Chloe who talk about these things. I don't know if they necessarily talk about divesting, but they talk about like, look, you better wake one up. Okay, how are you going to go so hard for a group of people who don't reciprocate the protection? Funky Dineva said earlier in this video that you see Black women rallying and coming together. The LGBTQIA community, they come together and rally for Black men. But do Black men come together and rally for the death of trans women or for the death? Do they come together for us, right? The LGBTQIA community and Black women, we are able to organize. We organize, we plan, we come together, and we execute. What organizing are Black men doing? And I'm sure that there is some strategy happening at some degree. But again, like I stated earlier, it's not visible enough. It's not loud enough. We don't see it enough. Just look at the Black Lives Matter movement in itself, which started by 3 Black women. And I believe 1 or 2 of the Black women are of the LGBTQIA experience. So what does that tell you? What organization in contemporary time have Black men spearheaded that fights for the rights and the inclusions of all Black people?
The behavior that's been most traumatizing for me, being in the presence of straight Black men in the barbershop example, is all the sissy and the faggot talk, right? Now imagine me being 8, 9, 13, 15, 16. I'm sitting here. Hell yeah, my nigga, my little lady, she was over there. She came to get something to eat. She brought that old faggot ass cousin. Well, I can't stand that faggot ass nigga. Faggot this. Man, man, she over there letting them sissies do her hair. Hell nah, fuck that. If my son was a sissy, I'd beat his motherfucking neck. All the while, I'm sitting in the chair just trying to get my fade, and I'm just being battered and abused verbally because I am that faggot and that sissy, and they don't know, and that's the talk. So here's the next part of the conversation, right? As that faggot and as that sissy, straight Black men, am I not your brother? And I think what bothers me is the fact that I already know the answer to this question. And overwhelmingly, my experience has been from heterosexual Black men that gay men are less than, and we are of no value. And because we're viewed as less than, that's why it's so easy for us to be disrespected and disregarded by straight Black men.
I'm going to stop it right there. I think the reason why Black men tend to see marginalized groups of people as less than is because there's an aspect of selfishness that I think Black men are either taught or learn as a form of survival. They only think about themselves. I've been in situationships where the guy would legit only think about himself. Like, we would go get something to eat and he would get himself y'all, he would literally order him some food and then just like break it up or share with me. You know what I mean? So I'm like, okay, like I too am hungry. But it's just like, you know what I mean? It's just the idea of like, they are selfish, and it may be a biological thing. It may be a thing that is learned in the environment of, okay, you got to protect yourself, so you got to look out for you. So if you got to do X, Y, Z, you got to do it so that you can eat, so that so that you can survive. So I think that it might be spawned out of a survival tactic. But again, there are so many complexities and intricacies within how Black men are raised, and the absence of the father, and then the blaming of the mother, even though that is the parent that stayed to care for the child. You know what I mean? It's just so much. And even the psychological and intellectual tactics that black men try to use as far as blaming black mothers to the point where they erase themselves, whether knowingly or unknowingly, by simply blaming the mother and remaining silent on the role of the father. You have erased yourself, right? When white people get on TikTok to be racist and to make fun of the black experience, one of the prevailing stereotypes is that black people don't have dads, right? So can black men tackle that? Can y'all talk about that? I rarely ever hear white people joking about the lack of present mothers, right? Baby mamas and single motherhood is the topic of research papers and studies and reports. So black women have to be doing something right. Even if, I've seen, the moms at the grocery store cussing at the babies and snatching up the babies, right? But I did a video on how black men create the bitter baby mamas that they despise, right? Like, where are you? Maybe if you were in the grocery store with her, helping her, get the groceries while she's, trying to rear the baby, maybe there would be more of a hold on the situation to where she would not exude her anger in that way. And Funky Dineva talks about this as well. You know what I mean? Like, maybe if you were providing more financial support, or maybe if she was just comfortable, right? If she were just more comfortable and not having to slave, maybe she wouldn't be cussing at the baby. Who knows? We don't know. But again, black men have to tackle that. There is definitely a selfishness in that community.
Everybody can rally behind y'all, but I don't know that the other marginalized groups in our community, being women and LGBTQ people, get the same support from the straight black man. And that is a conversation, again, that y'all have to have with one another. A friend of mine last night asked me about relations when it comes to trans people and gay people. He was like, why do you think straight black men don't do this, and why do you think straight black men attack the trans, so on and so forth? And I told him, I said, you know what, that line of questioning is intellectually lazy. Why are you putting the onus on me to explain what it is y'all feel in y'all heart and in y'all soul when it comes to women and gay people? That's like asking somebody that's been raped, what can they do to prevent from being raped?
Yes. And it's also the same thing as saying to women, a man can only do to you what you allow. Well, why do you allow men to do that to you? It absolves men of the accountability for their actions and puts the onus on the woman to now decipher, why does she allow it to happen? Why is he choosing to do that? Like Ari Lennox said, why is that your speech? Why are you choosing to treat this woman or women like this? I mean, I guess it comes from being misogynistic or misogynoir, but there just seems to be an incessant blaming of women. Well, why are you allowing this? You know what I mean? It's telling the victim to come up with the resolve, asking the victim to come up with the solution. Like Funky says, like, what were you wearing that made that man want to sexually assault you? You know what I mean? It's so ridiculous. So that's why, I used to ascribe to that thinking of like, well, a man can only do to me what I allow. But I'm like, well, what about coercion? You know what I mean? If a man coerces me to do something, that is not a willing yes.
Hey, rape victim, what can you do to prevent being appealing to rapists? Why is the onus on me to help heterosexual black men understand why they hate me so much? That is intellectually lazy. The onus is not on black women to figure out why straight black men or heterosexual black men, some of them show a disregard for their life, a lack of respect, so quick to run off and marry a white woman, so quick to run off and marry a culturally ambiguous woman. That is not on that sister to explain.
Yes, 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 yes. All of this is so good.
Jim Crow era, slavery, so on and so forth, that the black man has been beat down so much from the outside world that within the confines of the community, we have coddled them to a degree in an effort to give them a comfortable place to lay their head because the world beats them down so much. You see what I'm saying? But we cannot, and we've got to, since we're in this great unawakening period right now, it's time that we fix every fucking thing. We can't go from being oppressed to oppressing the few people that's left in the community that's trying to love on you. And when it comes to this trans situation, we was watching the video about the girl, the Ayana Dior that got beat up by 15 or 16 guys at that gas station and had to run behind that register. I don't give a fuck what she did. The conversation that straight black men have got to have with themselves is, why is it that we feel it's okay to beat on her like that? Okay, fine. Fuck it. That ain't a girl. That's a boy. It's got a dick. It's got a dick. Okay, fine. If it's got a dick, then that's your brother. Why is it that y'all feel it's so okay to do that? Why is it by virtue of her being trans that her life automatically doesn't mean anything anymore, and y'all ignorant sons of bitches are okay with that?
I think an answer to that, not the answer, but an answer to that may just be stunted growth, stunted emotional maturity and intelligence, the selfishness that I spoke about earlier. Because that's a great question. Why is it okay to beat on a trans woman, a biological woman, or anyone? Like, why is it okay to beat on each other? Like, why is it okay to throw somebody in a dumpster? Who thinks of stuff like that? Like, what thought process do you have that says, let's take a human and throw them in the dumpster? There has to be some sort of lacking, some sort of emotional lacking there.
That I am talking about the intrinsicness of when you say Black Lives Matter. But do they really? To each other. Black men, what is that? Why does the presence of a gay man rattle you to your core? Why does it upset you? Why does my right to be, my haughtiness,
come on, Maya Angelou, still I rise, my haughtiness,
me saying I'm a person, respect me as such, why does that challenge your existence so much?
And I think that goes for some black women too. It's like, if you don't have good intentions for me, please leave me alone. If you ain't got nothing going on, please leave me alone. If you're just looking for a distraction from your everyday life, your misery, please leave me alone. You know what I mean? Like, we don't want to be dragged into your inadequacies. Leave us alone. And not to say that, like, black men can't be themselves authentically, because I am even in a journey to be myself more authentically in the workplace and outside of the workplace. But my authenticity is a seeking of knowledge and peace and happiness. I am not inflicting violence on anyone. So the purpose here is not telling black men to, like, not be themselves, but why is being yourself rooted in inflicting violence on other people?
We really don't want nothing from you. We're not trying to take nothing from you. We're not trying to date you. We just want to be left the fuck alone. We want to be able to walk into the gas station, get a Snickers, get 10 on number 20, regardless of how we sound, how we look, what we're wearing, if we have weave in our head or not, and be left the fuck alone. So what? I have on poom poom shorts, high heels, red lipstick, and a wig. Why does that challenge your existence your existence so much. Why does that bring you to chorus?
Yeah, I completely agree. Why do you care? Why do you care what gay people are doing? Why do you care what a trans woman or man is doing? Why do you care? Why do you care? Why do you care?
Now, I know why. And see, this is not the conversation that y'all are not ready and willing to have.
Say it.
It rattles you so much because you like it.
Ooh.
Many of y'all like it. And you can't reconcile those feelings. Because you too sat in the barbershop, much like I as a young black boy, and you heard all that faggot talk and all that sissy talk.
And that is the thing that stunts the emotional growth, the emotional maturity, the emotional intelligence. Because if you're in an environment where people are just spewing off hate-filled language and just a complete disregard for other people's life, it's almost like that groupthink herd mentality of like, if a group of black men are saying, yeah, F this, F that, you're more than likely going to pipe up and say, okay, yeah, F this and F, you know what I mean? You're probably going to agree because you don't want to be the outlier. You don't want to be the outsider in that situation. And so that's why I would tell like my girlfriends, I know that being a woman is difficult. Trust me, I live it. I know it. But who would ever want to be a black man in terms of existing within that body? You don't have the freedom to eat certain foods, phallic looking foods like hot dogs and bananas and popsicles. You know what I mean? Like, you can't even eat a banana in peace because if you're around a certain group of black men, they're going to morph into this homoerotic state of, oh, it looks like you're, performing oral, you know what I mean? It's just like, it's so strange. Like, honey, I enjoy hot dogs and bananas and eating yogurt and things like that. I could not imagine having to be conscientious even in the act of consuming food. Everything is no homo or pause, right? Like you don't have the freedom to just express your emotions. And that's one of the things that I do like about how white men exist. Honey, they exist in homoerotica. Like you see white men hugging each other, kissing each other, telling each other that they love each other. And, bro, I love spending time with you, bro, and being affectionate with each other. They get to just exist in themselves. They don't have to counter or censor how they act around each other. With the black men, it's very censored. They are very mindful, almost hyper vigilant of what they say and how they interact with each other. Now, you do have some situations where they'll be like, I love you, man, or things like that. But just like you can't even exist, you are constantly in cool pose. You constantly have to be in a cool pose. You constantly have to have your guard up at all times. The next man is trying to size you up. You can never let your guard down. You can never just be free. And that's hard because I cry and I nag and I whine all the time. I'm a very emotional, very sensitive person. So I'm always doing that. And I cannot imagine being in a male body and having to forego those things and having to hold in my tears and hold in my emotions. So I'm like, man, I know being a woman is hard, but girl, I would not want to trade places at all.
It always baffles me because I always say, of all the 2,000 things you could have woke up this morning and talked about, that's the one that's at the forefront of your mind. I wonder why. When we start talking about the breakdown of the family, single motherhood, having 5 and 6 and 7 baby mamas, and niggas being all right with that. That is a conversation that straight black men have got to have with yourselves. Why are y'all so comfortable having 4 and 5 and 6 different baby mamas and not taking care of the kids that you had with your first baby mama because she tripping?
And that's something that's always perplexed me is It's one black man to 4, 5, 6 baby mamas. How are the women the issue in that? The only reason why those women are baby mamas is because of you, your lack of self-control. Like, I'm thinking back to the video I did about the black mom who cut her baby's braids and beads out because the father went and got her hair done. She was like, no, nobody do my hair, my baby hair but me. It's just like, you know that you wouldn't have anything to do with her if you didn't impregnate her, right? You know what I mean? Like, you know that, like, the onus is on you because that's an act that you committed with her. It's just like, I don't know. They just be blaming, oh, my baby mama, she tripping. Yeah, are you providing steady financial support for the child? And this is what I mean when I talk about the selfishness. It's like black men are like, okay, well, I'd rather keep my money to myself because I'm struggling and I need it than to give it to her for her to take care of the baby because I have no idea if she's actually using my money to take care of the baby. That's the thought process that they have. They're so scared and skeptical that, like, they don't even want to give the baby mama money because they think the baby mama about to go run and be buying shoes and bags and clothes and not taking care of the baby. Okay, and even if she does buy shoes and bags and clothes, if that makes her happy, then she might be, you know what I mean, in a good enough mood to make sure that the baby's okay. Like, they just be so like, oh, I don't want to do this because I'm scared that she might da-da-da. And I'm just like, what? So anyway, Funky Dineva goes on to talk about this more.
We need to address the mentality. I could not fathom the idea of creating a kid and not being around that kid damn near every day, or giving that kid what it needs, or better yet, supporting that.
Period. I too could not fathom creating a child and not being present with my seed, my legacy, and watching it grow and being able to help mold and teach it things and help it, confront life events that we all experience, and, just watching the evolution of another human being that was created by me. So again, going back to the emotionally stunted growth or whatever, how can you go about your life and be okay when you have a whole seed moving through the world and you don't care enough to be there? Selfishness.
My homegirl was very passionate about how Kevin Hart had left Tori Hart and started dating the new lady, I don't know how to pronounce her name, Ayoko Hart, and then it introduced the whole, he left the dark-skinned sister for the light-skinned pretty girl. And the thing about it is, I don't know if Kevin left her because liked her specifically because she was light-skinned, or she fell in love with the girl for the content of her character. However, the conversation then shifted to, I was there with you all this time, and now financially I've got to be over here struggling, and that's not right.
And that's why we do not invest in potential, and that's why we do not build.
Like, I need to be living the life. I was here with you. You know what I'm saying? Why is it that it is so easy for some of our men to have babies with these women and then not put these women in position to be happy and healthy and financially successful to take care of these children?
Period. Like, is that not common sense? I swear, like, we live in a world where people don't use common sense. Like the video that Lovely T did, it's all about the context. It's about the context, right? And I think we have moved on from a society of understanding that some things go without saying. We kind of have to spoon feed everybody nowadays. You have to over explain what your intent is, just like the video that Queen Chama did, right? Like, why it sucks to be a YouTuber, because people will willingly and intentionally take what you're saying out of context to fight, to argue, to try to delegitimize your opinion. You know what I mean? So is that not common sense that if you take care, if the mom is good, happy wife, happy life?
That's the thought process. If she comfortable, my kid's comfortable. If she not comfortable, that means she's stressed out, she fucked up every day, she mad, she pumping that poison in your children.
There is a very basic just disregard, I think. Because like there are legit some, this is why the stereotype of the absent father is so pervasive, and Black men have worked diligently to just completely erase themselves from the conversation as a whole, signified by the sole blaming on Black moms. There is just a selfishness. There is just a disregard for the child and for the mother. And here's the thing, Black women, we make things work. We make it work. We care for our kids. We're going to make sure that they're good. You know, I was raised by a single mom. My father was present, but I didn't live with him. I was the recipient of some of my mother's frustration and anger at times. Yes, I was. But I have lived a very, very blessed life.
By no means necessary did I want for this video to come across as me bashing Black men, because we must take into account that the Black man goes out in the world every day and faces a set of challenges that other men don't. I acknowledge that. I accept it. But it goes back to my starting point of me being gay and me being Black and having to fight for both simultaneously.
I agree with that, but I also think that Black men have come to a place where they are the recipients of privilege. Black men can benefit from the privilege of being male, of being men. Black women, we don't get the privilege of anything, you know? We are oppressed by racism and sexism and all of the intersectional isms in between, texturism, featureism, colorism, you know what I mean? So I get that. And I can acknowledge that being a Black man is not easy. Like I just did earlier in the video, being a Black man is not easy. But I think that they are afforded privileges that lighten the load just a teeny tiny bit.
Black men, it's time that y'all/we begin to fight both fights at the same time. We can fight the man and systematic oppression and white folks, but it's time we also fight for each other and the ills in our community at the same damn time. Y'all need to get this shit together. Cause it's y'all. It ain't the Black women killing the trans people. It ain't the Black women beating the shit out of the gays. It's y'all straight Black men. It ain't the Black women getting themselves pregnant and being shitted on and being disregarded and being whooped on. They not doing it to themselves. It ain't the trans women beating on the women and getting them pregnant. It ain't the gay boys neglecting these women and getting them pregnant. It's y'all. It ain't the gay boys sitting in gangs, selling drugs, shooting each other up. It ain't the gay boys in Chicago shooting up 30 and 50 people a night. It ain't the girls. It ain't the Black women sitting up in Chicago and all these other cities shooting up each other, keeping up turf wars and shit. Yeah, a few of them are in gangs, but overwhelmingly it ain't them. It is y'all. Y'all need to figure that shit out. And perhaps y'all can start them conversations in the barbershop.
So just very thoughtful, insightful commentary, hitting major points. It was such a great video that I felt moved to respond, just to offer a Black woman's perspective, not total encompassing, but just wanted to reaffirm, like, yes, finally, it just seems like more people are catching on to just an internal work that needs to happen. I've been following Funky Dineva for a long time, and I may not have always agreed with his commentary, but I just really, really appreciate his perspective. And I usually walk away having learned something new. And I just want to thank you all for tuning in. I hope you were able to take something away from my commentary to the video, and we will talk later.